Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Happy Thursday to all of you. Here we are. It's Thursday again. How's that possible, Jeannie?
I don't know.
I don't know. It just seems like every time I turn around, it's Thursday.
It's
It's time to go
day
live.
to day for me. Every day is day to day.
Well, welcome. I'm so happy to have Jeanne Petrucci with me today. Love your energy. And of course, really am excited about the content that we're going to be talking about today. It is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is how to create nutrition content that helps you scale, helps you to actually grow your business, which is, let's be honest, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
So very important. So that is our topic today. We're going to be talking about how to do this, how to create content. P.S. Not writing dissertations, okay? I think Jeannie knows exactly what I'm talking about there, right?
Yeah.
No footnotes required, no like research and references. We're going to really try to break it down so it's super easy and most importantly, super readable and compelling for your target audience, because the idea is we want to attract the right people into our audience, right? So again, welcome to those of you that are just now joining. My name is Lesli Bitel, business strategist and mentor for private practice dietitians and functional nutrition and functional medicine practitioners. So, guys, this is a topic that is really quite relevant for all of you, every single person. Specifically, let me just kind of give you a quick breakdown on some of the bullet points, right? Being deliberate about the kind of content that you create, that supports your business growth, right? And really following a framework that allows you to approach content creation with a sense of confidence and certainty, and creating an emotional connection, which is so important. Guys, we always talk about, what compels someone to actually make a decision. Any kind of decision, really, it is about emotion, actually 100% of the time. So we're going to be talking about the importance of creating an emotional connection with your ideal client that cultivates trust, and actually how video connects to this, why video is so important. So I want to welcome my guest today, Jeanne. And Jeanne is from Living Plate RX. So welcome, Jeanne. So happy to have you here with me today.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And I want to encourage all of you who are joining us today, or even if you are watching this as a replay, I want you to kind of experience this in kind of a meta sort of way, like the conversation that Lesli and I are going to be having today with you. We have an idea of what we want. We're not here to sell, right? We are here to deliver value, right? And to elicit an emotional response from you. So for all of you here today, I want you to know what my objective is, because as you're watching this, if you're starting to feel that way, then Lesli and I are being successful. First of all, I want you to feel relief, and I want you to feel confident in the area of content creation, right? So that's my goal today. But in taking you through this experience and this live kind of video interaction, right, you're going to have those feelings, and a certain percentage of you are going to feel compelled to reach out to either Lesli or I to say, how can you help me on a deeper level? So the reason I bring that up is because I really want you to think about how you're feeling as we're having this conversation. For me, Lesli, whenever I like sign up for free webinars all the time, because I just, there's always something to learn from other people. But those webinars that really move me are the ones where, like, at the end, not only do I want to buy that person's product and work with them, but I'm like, that's how I want my ideal client to feel, right? So if you are going through this experience today and this conversation, and at the end you're like, I really want my ideal client to feel this way or that, whatever emotion you want them to feel, then doing live video is the way to go. And you can either do it alone or you can do it with a partner like we're doing today. So again, wanted to.
It's great.
My first tip for the day right out of the box. Can we start talking?
Yeah, let's jump in. Yeah, I love that. So step one, tune into how you feel, right? And I think that's actually a really, really great tip. What do they say? People don't like, they always remember how you make them feel,
Oh,
right?
that's it, right? They
Yeah,
don't remember,
there's
they
a
don't remember
saying
your
around
content.
that.
They don't remember a handout, an ebook. They remember how you made them feel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
one thing that I wanted to start with, could we talk, just define evidence-based nutrition content
let's
first?
do it. What is evidence-based content?
There are two things that I want to make clear here about nutrition content. It's very different, right? So creating a nutrition course, by the way, is very different than creating a course on like how to decorate a cake or how to paint cats, right? Like those are great courses, and you can take a course to learn how to build a digital course, but you know, Leslie, and those of you who are watching, you do know that a nutrition course is very different because it must be evidence-based. Now, obviously, the content that you're using inside of your materials needs to be evidence-based. Sometimes you cite it, like if you're doing a particularly science-heavy blog, you're going to want to provide citations for sure. But you know, it also has to be delivered in an evidence-based way. And that's something that I'm going to be talking about today, because I, you know, prior to kind of exploring this concept myself, I really never heard of anybody talking about it before. Like, it does make a lot of sense that, you know, you're going to create this content either with my help or on your own.
Yeah.
But how you deliver it is like everything. It's not like just posting a pop-up on your website, although, you know, you can do that for sure. But it's an evidence-based approach. So I wanted to start there with talking about, you know, how you can decide. So this is one of your takeaways, one of your major takeaways for today. Like, how do you decide what content to create and where to deliver it, how to deliver it, all of those questions, right? And the first thing you need to think about is the stages of change health behavior model, right? So for those of you who are, Leslie's nodding, all dietitians here know exactly what I'm talking about. And even if you're not, you've probably been exposed to it before. Oh, hold on, I forgot to silence my phone. Kids will be calling if I don't, hold on, there we go. So the behavior stages of change, we're talking about pre-contemplation, contemplation, motivation, action, and maintenance, right? So every single person that you are touching is going to fall into, you know, somewhere on the spectrum. It's not, you know, it's more, it's dynamic. It's not really linear, and they don't fall into buckets. But, you know, somebody who's like pre-contemplation, they're not even thinking about working with you, right? So it just doesn't matter what kind of content you put in front of them. It's probably not going to totally resonate with them. But if they're, you know, from pre-contemplation moving into contemplation, like, I'm thinking about this behavior, changing my behavior, and oh, look at this reel from Leslie, or this reel from Jeannie, or this reel from you, like that, catching people who are just starting to think about change with like a quick video or a social media post, right? People, you need to catch them where they are. They're not going to come to you, right? You need to, and that's why social media can be really important. Does that make sense, Leslie?
It totally makes sense to me. Yeah. And I love the review on, you know, on that spectrum, right? Super important.
Yeah. So again, between like pre-contemplation and contemplation, people like just thinking about it, you want to get them with that soundbite, that reel, something entertaining, something high value content, but delivered kind of where they are social media. So if they're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, my audience is a mix of both Instagram and Facebook, but maybe yours is different, right? So if somebody is like not even thinking about behavior change, or maybe they're just starting to think about it, and you send them an email, right? They're probably not even going to open it. So that's a perfect example of like your content hitting somebody at the wrong time, right? So, you know, emails, things like emails and newsletters and blog posts typically are people who are already crossing over into motivation. Like, I'm like really beyond thinking about, you know, changing my behavior. I'm like pretty much ready. So I'm going to Google, you know, nutritionists who specialize in whatever, you know, topic that is of interest to me, right? And that up comes your blog, up comes your website. So you can see just in these two specific examples about somebody who's not totally thinking about it and somebody who's already thinking about it, how the content will land differently depending on what it is and where you're delivering it, right? Somebody who is like motivated and ready for action, that is like get your course in front of that person, right? So if I'm starting a private practice and I look up, business coaches for private practice dietitians, Leslie is going to appear, right? And I'm ready. Like, I'm totally ready.
Right.
You're
you're actually looking for that service.
Exactly. So that is the person who is the candidate to introduce your course, right? Or maybe have a free webinar. And this can be done at a business level or a consumer level. It doesn't matter. It applies to both, like my business, I'm business to business, or if you are business to consumer. It's all the same, right? There is no way, and this is the biggest mistake I see health and wellness professionals making. There is no way. I don't care if your course is like the best course ever, right? And the courses that my community members are building are like mind-blowing, like beautiful, interactive, incorporating all things that we're going to talk about. But there's no way you're going to sell that course to somebody who isn't motivated. It's not going to work, right? So you need to do a little bit of work to kind of warm up the audience. So, and Lesli, I know you talk about this kind of in your profit pyramid, right? Like, bring people in, warm them up. So that top of the funnel, like, you're bringing in all kinds of people. Now, some people are going to come into your funnel totally motivated and they're going to move right to the course, right? But other people are like, oh, I don't know.
They want to dip their toe.
Yeah, I don't know you.
Yes.
I don't like you yet. I don't trust you like that.
There's a little more work to be done.
Right. And so, paying attention to all of the different kinds of content that you need to create at different spaces in the pyramid that Lesli, illustrates so effectively is really important. And understand, there's no way you're going to sell your course to somebody who's not motivated, right? It's not going to be like, it's not going to work, especially with nutrition related health behavior, because it's freaking hard, right? Changing and we all of us at one point or another have tried either successfully or unsuccessfully to change our nutrition related health behavior. It's how life is, right? And it's hard. And so our jobs are hard. And
how do you motivate that person, like in your process?
So motivating somebody is done by delivering value, really, right? So that actually brings us to our first principle, which is that people, you're not going to make money off content. You're going to make money and grow your practice by delivering value, right? Mm-hmm. So if somebody is thinking about it and maybe they're quasi-motivated or just need a little bit more motivation, like, they have to trust you first. They have to know you. That know, like, trust factor is so important. And so they need to know you. And one of the best ways to get to know you is to be on video, right? So perfect example of this, by the way. And it was a story. It wasn't even a video. It had some movement in it. But I posted a story yesterday about my chickpea mash on my avocado toast and why it was important, right? So I'm not just posting what I'm eating during the day. Like, that's nonsense. Like, my audience wants to know, why is Jeannie eating this? I'm eating it because it's a protein-rich version of, like, one of my favorite breakfasts, which is avocado toast. Mm-hmm. It was hilarious. I had so many people in my DMs, like, what are these people DMing me about and sending me messages about? I was like, can I have that recipe? Because that, and these were, like, a few of them were older clients of mine who now see dietitians in our practice. But, like, that's the perfect example of being like, that's relevant content, right? I need to increase my protein at breakfast, and this looks delicious, right? So, in terms of getting people motivated to take action, because that's what we're all about, people. If you're just going to be a cheerleader without an end game in sight, like, forget it. Like, you have to know that all of the work that you're doing is to change someone's behavior. Right.
Yeah, I always say you kind of have to reverse engineer, right? Like, start with what is the end point you're after and re-engineer the process, right? Figure out how you're going to get them through that funnel.
Exactly. Like, what is the outcome that you want? And really, so that's all about strategy. So Lesli, I often get questions from our community members about, business strategy. I am not a business coach. I'm an expert content creator. Yeah. Lesli is a business coach, right? Yeah. So, having the two of us speaking today is relevant in that you need a strategy. You need to know not like what you do need to know the outcome that your consumer, your ideal customer wants, but you also need to know what am I trying to do here with this content, right? If you're just generating content and posting it willy-nilly, you're not, there's no strategy to it, right? You have to have a strategy, and everybody's strategy is going to be different based on kind of their practice philosophy and who they're trying to reach, right? So,
Exactly.
so Lesli, did I answer your question then about like, what type of content motivates people?
Yeah.
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 So getting them, hitting them where they are, hitting them with relevant content that is important to them.
Mhm.
And that chickpea mash was just like a perfect example. I'm like, and I wasn't really even thinking about it because I do it often enough. I'm like, if I'm eating something and I'm like, there's a lesson here, right? It's not what I eat in a day. Then nobody wants to know that.
Right.
I mean, they do, but that's just curiosity. That's not going to move anybody to change. What's relevant about what I'm eating, and
The why.
right? The why, like why is
the how? They also want to know the how in terms of how to make it.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
And another good lesson about that type of a post, number one, it was organic. It was very natural. So people love that. I didn't have to put my face in it. So
gotta love
when
that.
I tell you, when I took that picture, I was not camera ready, right? I had just finished a workout and I'm like, oh, I really feel like avocado toast, but I really need some protein. And so that's what I shared, right? So you don't always have to be on camera. You can create videos, something with movement that can be just as effective, really, in the whole scheme of things, right? So when we talk about, I just want to go back to kind of the evidence-based content. Now you all have a good idea of like the stages of change, right? So action maintenance, like motivation action maintenance, which is our, when you're finally getting people across the finish line, like once people have worked with you, you need to deliver content to that kind of keeps them engaged. That's what like newsletters are for. That's what nurturing sequences and just, weekly emails or, biweekly emails, whatever, whatever you can fit into your schedule. That piece of content creation is really more about consistency and just, again, continue to deliver value, but you don't really have to work as hard because they already know, like, and trust you, right? It's a little bit harder getting people to that point, right? So like they said, and I'm sure, Lesli, you tell your clients, it's a lot easier to upsell or sell somebody who's already worked with you than to try and sell a cold customer.
Oh, absolutely. It's that first step that's often the most challenging. That first purchase is often the most challenging.
Right. So, when we're talking about, so now you guys understand how the stages of change can play into what kind of content you're going to create. So think about, what is your goal? I want to get new customers, or I want to, make a new offer to current customers. Like, think about that first. But then also think of the type of content that you're going to be creating. And this is like high level type. This is not like ebook, handout, social media posts. Like, you need to do all of those. Yes, sorry, but that all needs to happen. But it can be easy. But also, your content has to fall into 3 pillars in order to be evidence-based.
Yeah, what are those pillars?
And let me just say, this is not my opinion. This is evidence-based, right? I'm sharing this with you because this was my aha moment when I was getting my master's degree, and I realized, oh my gosh, like, no wonder why people can't change their behavior. They have no kitchen confidence. Like, we're telling people what they need to eat, and we're not supporting them across the finish line. So there are 3 pillars. I actually have a Venn diagram that I created, but there are 3 pillars to encouraging nutrition-related health behavior change. The first one is coaching and counseling, right? So that working with you, the practitioner, either one-on-one, or in a group setting, right? You need to connect people. You need to, on a counseling level, you need to do your MNT, right? Your medical nutrition therapy. If you're a health coach, you still have to do intake. Like, what are your current habits? What are you doing? What are barriers preventing you from making, changes? Have you been successful in the past? Like, all these motivational interviewing things, that happens in the counseling pillar, and that has to happen, right? On top of that, you need to provide nutrition education. Now, what's interesting with our community specifically is that we love sharing, right? We love sharing content. But sometimes we fall into the habit of just like information dissemination, like deliver, ebook, handout, social media posts, without considering the other 2 pillars. And I promise you, that alone is not going to scale your practice. Information dissemination mode overwhelms people, and it tends to repel them versus to attract them, right? So while nutrition education is important, and while we desperately want to share everything that we know, right? Like every dietitian and health coach I have ever met.
We're educators.
We're advocates. We want to like climb to the highest mountaintop and just scream out all of our knowledge because we know it can help people.
So what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that, but that alone is not going to help you scale your business. That alone will repel people.
Yes. Right? Just constantly showing all of our education.
Plus, it's not sustainable. Like if you're just like creating content, like just pushing content, content, like that's miserable. Like you don't want to do that, right? So you need to have the counseling and the MNT where you're really connecting personally with your ideal client, and then the nutrition education piece where you have evidence-based materials that is being delivered again against the kind of stages of change model. The third pillar, and what really lights my fire, is culinary education. If you have the other two pillars, you're going to get, it's so unfair, you're going to get your clients within sight of a finish line, but they're not going to be able to successfully cross that finish line and stay there, because everybody needs culinary support. Everybody, because you can't, I have not met any, and maybe they're out there, but I've not met anybody who could successfully change and maintain their behaviors by ordering takeout, right? Or, by, food delivery services. Like there's a place for that. But at the end of the day, there has to be a certain level of culinary competency. And that was the thing that really, again, lit my fire, my master's program. Like, I get all of this, but this piece of the evidence is so clear, and yet we're not taking action on it. When I say we, our profession in general. And why is that? Because that content is freaking hard to create. So what
culinary-based content?
What kind of culinary content? Just give me an example. What would you say is a piece of culinary content? That
well, let's ask our audience. I would say
good. Yeah.
Demos, cooking demos would be awesome, but what there? I mean, it's like, tell me what you're getting at.
Right. No, that's it. Like culinary.
It's hard.
Right. So, and there's
you gotta really be prepared, and
there's so many layers to it, actually. And I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking. Like, interrupt me whenever you want, because I am on fire and talking about this, like, there's no stopping me. But like the culinary experience, but it's different for everybody. I mean, I've had clients, I'm like, on a scale, and I always do as part of the MNT process.
Yeah.
I always ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, basically, what is your culinary competence, right? And I don't have a towel here today, but like, some people would like take the towel and whip it over the shoulder, like, I'm good, like, great. Okay, then the culinary content that I'm going to deliver to you, Mr. Top Chef 8 to 10 on the culinary competence scale, I'm going to give you recipes that are relevant to the condition that you came to me for help, right? So, so that person would be good just with like meal plans and recipes and things like that. Versus someone who's like, ooh, like on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know, like a 2 or a 3. Wow. I'm not going to give that person a meal plan.
Right. Like, okay. So
you know what I mean? Like, so what would happen, Leslie, if somebody had a culinary competence of a 3?
Yeah.
And I gave them a 5-day anti-inflammatory meal plan, what's going to happen?
Well, wouldn't it depend on how difficult it was to?
Yes, but like even if I did like overnight oats and no cook recipes, they'd probably just get so overwhelmed they'd be paralyzed and not do it.
So like the 2 or 3 is like really low confidence.
Right.
We're talking, I guess that's the thing for me to better understand is like what does a 2 or 3 mean? They can't make overnight oats.
Basically on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is like, I don't cook. And I've had clients where
that's just say I don't, period.
Right, different kind of like, I don't cook. Not only I don't cook, I don't want to cook, and I don't like vegetables.
That's a whole another story. If they don't even want to, right?
well, but they want to change, but they don't want to cook, right? So that's a different kind of a client.
Right.
But like so in order for your clients to have success, you first need to assess where they are, and then you need to deliver the education and the culinary content that's relevant to them. So somebody who's like a 2 or a 3, Leslie, I'll send them a cooking video, like a 3-minute cooking video on no cook recipes, like overnight oats, salads, and things like that. If somebody is like the clients that I've always had the most success with were between a 4 and a 7, right? And they're motivated, like, oh, I've got some skill, but not a lot, but I've got 3 kids and and I work 2 jobs. I mean, like, that's why delivering culinary experience alone is not going to change somebody's behavior, because you need that MNT piece of it, right? So is this all making sense to raise your hand in comments if this is making sense?
Let's see. Looks like we got a couple comments here. Hey, Hillary, how are you? Welcome. Health coaches need to understand the client goals for sure. And there's so much culinary content to be created, recipes, swaps, how-tos, plus the education. Exactly. It's not easy, is it, Hillary?
Well, for Hillary it is, because I hope it's okay to say this. Hillary,
segue. I'm not. Jeannie's not paying me to say that. I just know her content, and I know how helpful it can be. So I think it is a great segue.
Well, Hillary's a member of our community, so yes, it's hard, but it's a lot less harder for Hillary because she has access to all of this great content, right? So just to summarize, because there were 2 other principles I wanted to cover. Are we ready to sign off now? Are we?
We're good.
Okay, we're good. Okay,
10 more minutes.
So, yep, perfect. So remember the stages of change when you're going to create content. You can literally write it down: pre-contemplation, contemplation, motivation, action, and maintenance. Right? Think about what is the content you're going to create, and well, if you don't want to generate, like, let's say your goal for the next 3 months is just to cultivate more business from existing clients. Forget about content, like your clients are already motivated, so you can focus on content that kind of hits that, right? And then think about what types of content you're going to create and how you kind of like the breadth of content you need to offer. And that is MNT, counseling, coaching, could be one-on-one, could be a course, nutrition education. What are the materials that you're actually providing to them? And then the culinary experience and the guidance, right?
Right.
That is evidence-based nutrition content creation, right? And making it happen is just really just starting somewhere, like just starting where you're comfortable. If you have access to our library like Hillary does, it's really easy because you're like, oh, I think I want to do social media this week or whatever. That done for you content can be really, really helpful. So, the principle number 2, so the principle number 1 I wanted to mention, and we've covered a lot about that, is that content doesn't sell, value does. So everything that we've talked about is creating valuable evidence-based content for your audience. The second principle is that emotion attracts. So the more of you put into your content, the better. So when I created my library, I was super clear that my members needed to be able to edit the content and they needed to put their brand on it. So Leslie, I know you go to like trade shows and expositions and conferences, right? There are plenty of brands on the floor willing to give you their, very shiny, glitzy, pretty handout on, let's say, the protein content of yogurt. I'm just using that for an example, right? But you cannot, and it has somebody else's brand on it.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not good, right?
It's just not good for your brand,
you don't want to do that, right? Yeah, I was like, that's great, but no thanks. Even I had a coupon attached to it. I really didn't want to put brands in front of my clients because it wasn't authentic for me, right? I wanted my brand. And so eliciting emotion is about being consistent with your brand. And that's everything from colors to your logo to your image. Like, get you into your content. Right. If you don't, you're simply not going to be able to scale. People need to know when they work with you what to expect. And it comes down to kind of, the colors and the branding and all. That's all really important. That's why we spend so much money on our websites, right? So that's why it was really important for me to make our entire library editable and brandable. It's super, super important. So keep that in mind.
Well, all of your content, it doesn't your brand. We can remove your brand.
Yeah. So just I'll cover this a little bit more detail when I sign off. But basically, our members have a license. You're paying a license, paying for a license to use the content without attribution. So you don't have to acknowledge that it came from me, right? I don't do anything direct to consumer. I am B2B2C. I am business to business to health and wellness professionals who then deliver the content to the consumer. So the content that I create is consumer facing, but I don't deliver it. And then the third principle is scale by differentiation. So Lesli, I know you talk about this a lot, right? Picking a niche, I mean, you can't be everything to everybody.
Right.
And it is a little scary when you decide, okay, I'm going to focus.
It's kind of counterintuitive, right? That's the thing that I find.
And why is that? Why does it scare people?
Oh, it's counterintuitive because you think if you cast a smaller net, you're going to get fewer fish, right? Like, so, but really the opposite is true.
Yes, there's plenty of fish out there for all of us. So, so, you will scale and you will grow by differentiating yourself. So doing something, and we have thousands of people using our library, right? So one of the questions I get is like, if we're all using the same content, how can we differentiate?
Work?
Because we're all using the same evidence, right? I'm just creating content based on all of the evidence. So if I write a blog post on how to best manage blood sugars, and Lesli writes a blog post on how to best manage blood sugars, guess what? They're basically going to say the same thing.
Right.
That's why putting your own spin on it, right? I have seen our community members do so many great things. Actually, just this morning, a dietitian who specializes in PCOS.
Yeah.
She took our handout on 10 tips for, I think it was weight maintenance, just basically healthy living. And she totally spun it into PCOS and all of the content.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was great, right? So you scale by differentiation. So that was the third. So first principle, content doesn't sell, value does. Second, emotion attracts. And then the third one is you scale by differentiation. We have a question from Gina.
Yeah. Hey, Gina, how are you?
Okay, so Gina, your experience as a chef. So first of all, I'm not a chef. I am a self-taught culinary instructor. I know chefs get really sensitive about that. Like if you have operated in a commercial kitchen, you're a chef. I have not done that. Okay, so in your experience as a chef, how do you or can you motivate somebody who just doesn't want to cook but can do it? Oh, Gina, this is such a great question, and it is at the core of kind of like who we are, right? Like we want to serve and we want to help people so much, but part of behavior change is acknowledging where people are and letting them drive their behavior change versus saying, if you could be the cheerleader, Gina, you could say, I know you can do it. Just try making overnight oats, right? I think motivational interviewing, Gina, will help you answer that question. Because if somebody says to me, I don't want to cook, I don't like cooking, my question is, tell me about that. Tell me why you don't like cooking, right? So if somebody just like really hates being in the kitchen, nothing I do, nothing I say, no cooking video I provide is going to help them. What that does is it makes them feel less heard.
It puts a wall of resistance.
Right.
So it really does. And people want to think it's their own idea, right?
Exactly.
They don't want to be told. No one wants to be told what to do.
So Gina, you bought the book on motivational interviewing. Great. I wonder if it was Molly Kellogg's, because Molly Kellogg is just brilliant in the area of motivational interviewing for nutrition professionals. So, rolling with resistance is really important. So, okay, it sounds like you don't like being in the kitchen. There are times when most of us don't like being in the kitchen, but sometimes you uncover a barrier that's not really about not liking cooking. So I think sometimes, and this is what I saw with a lot of clients, people don't like cooking because it's just become such a burden. I've got 3 kids. One has allergies. One doesn't like cheese.
Oh, the short order cook thing.
One's vegan, right? So it wasn't that my client didn't like cooking, that they want to cook because especially parents know that fresh whole foods are best for the kids, but there's these barriers, right? So your job, Gina, and our job is to be barrier busters. In order to bust down barriers, we have to discover them. And the best way to discover barriers is motivational interviewing and
asking questions, right? Asking good questions.
Okay, so Kimberly, somebody was having a problem with the video. I think it's still good. So, so just, understand that the content you deliver needs to be evidence-based, it needs to be deliberate, and it needs to be specialized to your ideal client, or you're not going to be able to grow your practice properly.
Right.
So all of those things, like you just need a solid foundation of content creation strategy. Does that make sense, everybody? All right. I think we have another question.
Let's see here. Hey, Kathy.
Okay.
What was the number one pillar?
That content doesn't sell, value does.
Okay, that's great.
So don't be afraid. And this is for everybody, not just Kathy. Don't be afraid to deliver something. And this is also something I see community members doing a lot. Don't be afraid to deliver something that seems like, oh my gosh, like I shouldn't be giving this away for free. It's worth it.
Oh God, that could be a topic in of itself for you.
Right? I shouldn't be giving this ebook away. I should be selling it.
Right.
For me, that means that you've got content that's loaded with value. Oh, I shouldn't be offering this free webinar because it's just so loaded with value.
Yeah.
That's why people are going to show up. That's why people are
Exactly.
going to the book or the tip sheet or the handout. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be that person that does a webinar and you're not dropping any value bombs. Like that is the worst. And people, you got to think, how will that make your client feel or your audience feel? Like you just stole 30 minutes of their time and gave no value. That is not a good thing, right?
So let's reflect on what we just did here, because that is exactly what we've done. I had a clear vision of what I wanted to talk about today. So don't do a webinar unless you're prepared, right? And then deliver real value. So we talked about those three principles, those three pillars, but we've also given you some hard takeaways, the stages of change, where you create your content, what kinds of content fit in different pillars, right? Those are real takeaways.
Oh, this is great. Yay, Gina. It really is a great combo, I got to say, Jeannie.
You know what? Like I said earlier, you can't be everything to everybody. Yeah. I am an expert nutrition content creator. Lesli is an expert business coach. The two together really do go hand in hand.
It really is a great combo. Thanks for that, Gina.
Yeah, thanks.
Best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, I think so. So how should I let people know how they can reach out?
Yeah, let's do that, guys. As we start to wrap up, I've asked Jeannie just to share how you all can find out more if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Jeannie's content. Before you do that, I do want to just mention briefly just a little success story. Okay, Jeannie?
Yeah, I love it.
You and I talked a little bit about this before we clicked the go live button. Yeah. And guys, I just want to share. So I actually had a client who used some of Jeannie's material, right? And specifically, it was really cool. It was a lead magnet on, I think it was like a Trader Joe's grocery list.
Yeah. No, it was an ebook on
ebook.
How to make meals from
from Trader Joe's ingredients, right? Yeah. And this particular client was a huge fan of Trader Joe's, and she was just trying to figure out something that would really resonate for her audience and something that would attract the kind of people that she really wanted to work with, right? So we took that piece of content, that ebook, created a landing page, right? So that we could use it as a lead magnet. She created a post, like a really nice, warm, fuzzy post. And actually it was a mom's group, a local mom's group, which was beautiful because she was one of them, right? So she was like, hey, moms, I'm a mom too in the area, really connected very powerfully with this group. People are really struggling, blah, blah, blah. I just thought I would share this just to help make your lives a little easier, right? And, please DM me if you want to learn more or want more info. Guys, she grew her list by 70 people, like immediately, like right away. I swear it was like within an hour. Cool thing is she ended up, just from this one post, she got 3 $1,500 clients, right? And who knows, it probably has grown since, but just from one post, like
that paid for her Living Plate RX membership, like
right?
Yeah. So that's
so this stuff really does work. And And I just want to say, creating content is hard. Okay. It just is. So, with that being said, how do we learn more, Jeannie?
But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't
It
have to be
doesn't have
that
to
hard.
be.
Like you definitely have to make a commitment to creating the content, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that hard. So my library, so my membership, I have a membership. It's called Living Plate RX Prime, and our members get access to two things essentially: a proprietary meal planning system. When I say proprietary,
Okay.
I built it from scratch with a tech team here in New Jersey, and then also a consumer facing library of evidence-based nutrition education content. So blog posts, social media posts, handouts, ebooks, full digital courses. Super exciting, Leslie. I don't even know if you know this yet, but I'll send you an email on it. But we just created, in partnership with Jackie Topol and Christy Del Coro, the dietitians at the Culinary Nutrition Collaborative, a culinary education program.
Amazing.
12 lessons long. It's basically like 12 courses in one that our members have access to use with their clients, right? So, Gina, if you have somebody who's like struggling in the kitchen, that's going to be something great that you're going to be able to offer to them. It's a white labeled course. So, yeah, so our membership is a license that people pay for annually to get access to all of this content. And so basically, you just create the strategy with Leslie, and then you decide what content, and then you just go to the library and you go into the library, you edit the content, and then you download it and upload it to whatever platform you want. So, hopefully after watching this conversation and knowing now how I can support you, you feel relief and you feel confident with content creation, right? The confidence is going to come from knowing that there is an evidence-based framework behind this.
Right.
And the relief knowing you don't have to do it alone, right? You have a community behind you. And so, making the commitment to become a member could be the first step.
I love that. Okay, that's great. So guys, highly recommend, reach out to Jeannie. And Jeannie, do you want to type your email into the comments?
Can I do that? Let me see.
Is it Jeannie at Living Plate?
J Petrucci. I don't think I can type comments.
Okay.
J Petrucci at livingplaterx.com. Also, you can just go to @livingplate on Instagram and drop me a message, or you can DM me. But you can kind of reach out to me wherever you can catch me. I'm everywhere, pretty much daily. But J Petrucci at livingplaterx.com.
Okay, I think I got that right.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, guys.
All right, thank you so much.
Right? Time flies when you're having fun. So thanks, Jeannie. It's always a pleasure.
You're so welcome.
Reconnecting with you. Let's do it again soon.
Oh, we will. We will.
Yeah. And everyone, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, an awesome weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Same time, same place next week. Bye for now, everyone.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.